All right. Good evening. Welcome to Sherman City Council. I'm glad to see everybody here this evening. Thanks for coming out. It's a big evening tonight, so we'll go ahead and get started. We do have a quorum. We'll declare the meeting open. This time I'll ask Councilmember Pam Howitt if she'll lead us in the pledge and invocation, please.
You join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'd bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to thank you for the opportunity to come together as a community and to serve you. We serve you, we serve the community. We are so fortunate to live in a country where we are free to vote and to make decisions and to choose our own destinies. We thank you for our first responders who come and take care of us and keep us safe. In your heavenly name we pray, amen.
Amen. All right, thank you for that. All right, at this time we'll canvass the election returns for Place 1. Council, if you'll look at the information in front of you in the table. Early vote totals for Henry Marroquin, 966, Kevin Couch, 1,004. Election day totals, Henry Marroquin, 721, Kevin Couch, 679, for a total for Mr. Marroquin of 1,687 and Kevin, 1,683. Any questions or comments about that before we move on, Council?
I'd like to make one brief comment, and that is when people think their vote doesn't count. Trust me, this is an example of an election where every vote counts. So please always make sure to go out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, Linda, if you'll read proposed resolution 6801, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman canvassing the election returns of the recount of the November 2nd, 2021 general election for the purpose of electing one member of the City Council of the City of Sherman at large place number 1 to fill an expiring term, declaring the results of the election for the office of at large place number 1 following the recount requested by one of the candidates, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law, providing savings, repealings, and severability clauses, and an effective date.
Thank you, Linda. Council, any questions, discussion, comments?
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Council. All right, at this time, we will gather down front and administer the oath of office. Henry, if you'll come on down.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully state your position and will, to the best of my ability, protect and defend the Constitution and law of the state
Henry. Slide, Mr. Slide. Josh, you're moving in.
Slowly but surely. Outlast it.
Oh, yep, let me sit down.
All right, since Councilman Steele is reluctant to go to the front, we'll do it here. We have stage fright, ladies and gentlemen. So we have a couple of gifts for Willie. We have a plaque, very nice plaque with a gavel. Says, presented to Willie Steele in recognition and appreciation for outstanding leadership, service, and dedication to the citizens of Sherman. Thank you for your vision and inspiration. So I'll keep you. We also have a, a nice crystal to have. It says the Honorable Willie Steele, and I'll put it so I can read it. Okay, there's a lot of stuff here about how great Willie is. But Willie, thank you on behalf of the citizens of City Council for your wisdom and leadership and friendship.
You bet.
With that.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
He'll be back.
Don't see her. She does. Okay, go. She does.
Also, a very nice plaque for Sandra. In recognition and appreciation of have a very nice crystal.
Say goodbye again, but I'll be back also. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so we're moving right along here. We are now to the deputy mayor election. I pulled the, y'all know we select deputy mayor by seniority and not necessarily alphabetical order. But the next two people to be elected would be Pam Howarth and Sean Tiemann. So I know, Pam, you were deputy mayor last, I believe. Is that correct?
No, Sean was.
Okay, Sean, you mind doing it this time?
No, sir. I'll be
Okay.
proud to do that.
Okay, council, any comments, disagreement? You okay?
Yes.
We need a vote on this?
Yeah.
I recommend that you do vote,
Okay.
yes.
So,
Move to approve.
Second.
okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. All right,
We need to move.
We don't need to move yet. We'll
We're
move
good.
next time.
all right, we are to citizen comments. Is there anybody here to comment on anything about the agenda this evening? Okay. Council, we are to the consent agenda. These items are to be considered routine, will be enacted in one motion without discussion unless a council member or citizen requests a specific item to be discussed and voted on separately. The consent agenda includes items I-6, I-7, I-8, I-9, and J-1. Council, would anybody like these broken apart for any reason? Okay.
Move to approve consent.
Second?
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right, the next consent agenda are items to be considered that are routine and will be enacted in one motion, subject to the staff review letter without discussion unless a council member or citizens request the item to be discussed and voted on separately. These items include K3, K4, K5, K6, and K7. Council? Anybody like these broken apart for any reason?
Nope.
Move to approve double asterisk consent, subject to staff review letter.
Second. Double asterisk.
Motion
Double
second.
asterisk.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, I'm
Aye,
just,
aye.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right, at this time, we'll open public hearing. Linda, if you'll read proposed ordinance 6428, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman repealing ordinance number 6253 and amending section 6.12, ordinance number 2280, so as to amend a planned development for village planned development, ordinance number 6253, in the 2800 to 3200 blocks of South FM 1417 Heritage Parkway, being 624.473 acres in the Elizabeth Jones Survey, abstract number 625. The Munson Realty Company owners, Junior Urban Advisors, John Ruggiero, Planning and Urban Design, Jones & Carter, Civil Engineer, and Underwood Drafting and Surveying, Surveyor. Providing that this planned development shall be granted subject to certain conditions, describing the tract to be rezoned, providing a repealing savings clause, severability clause, and an effective date, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, Mayor, Council, this item is to amend the village PD. This was previously adopted roughly about 2 years ago. The applicant, the developer, is wanting to make some changes to their current PD, what's currently adopted. The primary change, which John Ruggieri is here to present on, is changing the eastern side of the property from an employment zone to a mix of single-family, multifamily, and commercial. He'll go through that right now and just describe some of the significant changes that are in this amendment. Just to note, also, Half Associates conducted a review of this as well to make sure that it was consistent with our PD ordinance, and they deemed that it was, and that letter's in your packet.
Thank you, Rob. Mr. Mayor, council members, it's a happy night tonight. Mr. Mayor, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Can you state your name and address for the record?
John Ruggieri.
Thank you, John.
My address is 211 Irving Street, Dallas, Texas.
Okay, thank you.
All
Go
right.
ahead.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
and congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you.
Wish you both the best of luck this coming year or two. As Rob was saying, we've made some amendments to the PD. I've worked exhaustively with Rob and with Half over the last 6 months or so to amend the PD for two purposes. The first purpose is, over the last 2 years, Munson Realty has met with several different development entities in both the commercial, industrial, and residential markets. And what we found during that process was we needed to go in and fine-tune the PD to make it more applicable to the current market. And then the second reason was the initial PD was a little vague in places, and we had an opportunity to go in and basically tighten that up and make it more administratively friendly for staff to be able to administer as we move forward. So we worked very closely with Rob and incorporated several of the suggestions, all of the suggestions, to come up with what we're going to present now. Now, I understand we have a series of slides. I'll go through them rather quickly, but obviously stop me if you have any questions. What we've done is created a comparison, the old PD slide on the left and the new PD slide on the right. As you'll see, the basic zoning change from employment purple on the left to East Village Zone on the east side. We also made some changes on the west side of 1417, and you'll see a name change in there, future growth to West Residential Village or West Residential Zone. And in the PD, that's significant because we went in and really put some meat on the bone for that when it does get served. So in the process of doing that, we've taken away some of the vagaries. The second set of slides, the original slide on the left was points of entry and roadway transportation, primarily through the village center because we had no reasons to do the west and the east sides. On the right, what we have done is we've overlaid an amended transportation plan and an internal transportation plan to reflect some of the changes we have in land use and to create better connectivity both internally and over to the east, the employment zone that SEDCO owns. So based upon some of the recommendations of staff, we've been able to incorporate that. The third set of slides is open space. You'll see on the left, once again, we focus predominantly on the village center with plazas and paseos. But now, because of the comprehensive nature of the rezoning and the land use, we've gone ahead and shown the connectivity throughout the entire plan. And that is reflected in detail within the PD, within the text. The fourth set of slides is, that's the, this is really the village center, and the reason why I put this in here is to show that we've really not made any significant changes within the village center. We think that that is eventually the crown jewel. We have to start with the perimeter and then allow it to fill in as the market builds. So we've maintained the urban mixed-use nature, which we originally came to you with 2 years ago with this slide. So you won't see any significant changes in that, at least from the land use plan. We did some tightening up on the text, on the verbiage, on how to implement it. And then I believe finally what we have is the east side, east of 1417. I'm sorry, east of Moore Street, which is now, as you know, under construction. So essentially what we have now is we've changed it to residential, about 100 acres of residential, both single family and multifamily. And in addition to that, we have a commercial zone to the north on Travis and to the south on 1417. Within that commercial zone, we have language for employment. So rather than zoning that as a strict employment use, we've incorporated it into a commercial use with employment capabilities. And the reason why we did that is because in the event that there is an opportunity for job growth within the area, we thought that that would still continue to give about 40 acres or so, well, more than 40 acres, about 70 acres of employment in there, which we think is important to be able to do. And we have received interest on both parts, or Munson Realty has received interest on both parts, and this plan reflects those conversations. And the only last comment that I have is based upon the recommendation of staff, we wrapped the single family detached, which is in the yellow, with multifamily as a buffer, anticipating that we would get employment potentially to the north along Travis and certainly to the east on the SEDCO property. So you'll see that little connection, you'll see that little buffer in there, and it's purposeful to make sure that we separate the uses. And with that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. If not, Linda, if you'll read page 2 for us, please.
Ordinance 6429, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, Ordinance Number 2280, so as to include certain property within the R1 one-family residential district located at 6350 Teresa Drive, being 8.42 acres in the Daniel C. Shelp Survey, abstract number 1097. West Scott Weissman, the third owner, Michael Ufer, applicant, and Sarton and Associates Surveying, surveyor. Providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, providing a repealing savings clause, severability clause, and an effective date. Finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, this item is for a zone change from an M2 heavy manufacturing district to an R1 one-family residential district. The owner and applicant are here to answer questions if you have them. The owner would like to construct a 1,300 square foot main cabin with four 420 square foot attached cabins with a 1,000 square foot garage. Because these units are all attached, it is considered a single family building. Planning and zoning recommended approval 7-0.
Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? If not, Linda, I'm going to ask you to read H3, H4, and H5 together, please.
Ordinance 6430, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, Ordinance Number 2280, so as to include certain property within the C1 Retail Business District located in the 6,000 to 6,400 blocks of South U.S. Highway 75 and the 100 to 200 blocks of Acres Road, being 14.949 acres in the John Cronister Survey, Abstract Number 248, and the William Martin Survey, Abstract Number 765. Jamestown Square LLC owner, Cope Equities, James Cruz representative, developer, Hickman Consulting Engineers, civil engineer, DBA Architects, architect, Billy Peck Construction, contractor, Carroll Consulting Group Incorporated, and Underwood Drafting and Surveying, surveyors, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, providing a repealing savings clause, severability clause, and an effective date, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law. Ordinance 6431, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, Ordinance Number 2280, so as to include certain property within the SF1 single-family residential district located in the 6,000 to 6,400 blocks of South U.S. Highway 75 and the 100 to 200 blocks of Acres Road, being 20.232 acres in the John Cronister Survey, Abstract Number 248, and the William Martin Survey, Abstract Number 765. Jamestown Square LLC owner, Cope Equities, James Cruz representative, developer, Hickman Consulting Engineers, civil engineer, DBA Architects, architects, Billy Peck Construction contractor, Carroll Consulting Group Incorporated, and Underwood Drafting and Surveying, surveyors, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, providing a repealing savings clause, severability clause, and an effective date, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law. Ordinance 6432, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, Ordinance Number 2280, so as to include certain property within the R2 multifamily residential district located in the 6,000 to 6,400 blocks of South U.S. Highway 75 and the 100 to 200 blocks of Acres Road, being 19.347 acres in the John Cronister Survey, Abstract Number 248, and the William Martin Survey, Abstract Number 765. Jamestown Square LLC owners, Cope Equities, James Cruz representative, developer, Hickman Consulting Engineers, civil engineer, DBA Architects, architects, Billy Peck Construction, contractor, Carroll Consulting Group Incorporated, and Underwood Drafting, Surveying, surveyors, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, providing a repealing savings clause, severability clause, and an effective date, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Rob?
Mayor, Council, this item is, this current property is all zoned M1.5. It's directly across from the TI site, so north is to the left. It's on the east side of 75. The applicant is requesting 3 separate zone changes from that M1.5. The first zone change is commercial, and that's on the parcel tract 1, retail commercial. They're proposing roughly about 90,000 square feet of commercial retail. The site plan was conceptually approved. The conceptual site plan was approved by P&Z, and P&Z also approved the zone, or recommended approval on the zone change from M1.5 to C1. The second one is tract 2. Multifamily, also currently zoned M1.5, and they're recommending it to be zoned to R2. This is, flip to it, they're currently proposing 306 multifamily units and 78 townhome units at that site. P&Z approved the site plan, and the zone change was recommended for approval 7-0. And then the last one, track 3, is for single family. It would be a zone change from M1.5 to actually SF1, which is pretty much identical to our R1 district. And they are recommending, or they're proposing to have 62 residential lots on that tract. The applicant and owner, they are here to answer any questions that you may have. Otherwise, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening?
Todd Downing, not James Cruiser.
Okay.
900 West Bethany is our corporate offices, Allen, Texas. We're just here, little pregame jitters for myself. I grew up in Sherman and did my first multifamily in the old community hospital where we turned it into apartments. So I'm kind of excited about this project. We're hoping to be an amenity for future development industry across from TI and a lot of the industry that you have there. We feel very confident about adding the retail space there, freestanding, Starbucks, what have you, and as well as just regular strip mall type retail. Multifamily, basically we'll break it up into 2 separate, Lot A, Lot B, 150 units per section. We're underway with a feasibility study to see our absorption rate and how quickly we'll do all 300. Townhomes, similar product. We've done this same product in Princeton, Texas, right across from the high school and on FM 75. Our single family side of it, we may modify it. We typically do a 1 acre development out in the rural areas. So most of our product is, 120 foot wide lot size, but we are considering very strongly doing these ourselves. We have a very craftsman kind of country style on all of our architecture, whether it's the townhomes, the apartments, or the single family. So we're creating a new product to fit here in Sherman at the single family sites. If you go onto our website, the architectural flavor that you see there is very consistent with us throughout. And it's very popular with every city that we've moved into and done similar developments on.
All right, thank you, Todd. Is there anyone else to comment on this development? Okay. Not Linda, if you'll read H6 for us, please.
Ordinance 6433, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow an automobile repair, oil and lube, and tire sales and service center in a C2 General Commercial District at 1504 West Houston Street, being Lot 1A of the replat of Lot 1, Block 1, Oasis Edition, Willow Bend Holdings, LLC owner, Garib Joseph Tahir, applicant, and Helvey Wagner and Associates Surveying, surveyor, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
This is for a specific use permit to allow automobile repair. The applicant mentioned that they're doing some tire changing and small repairs at this site at 1504 West Houston. They're currently operating First Choice of Texoma at 1624 Texoma Parkway. That's the corner of Texoma Parkway and Loy Lake. P&Z approved or recommended approval of the SUP 7-0.
Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Linda, if you'll read H7 for us, please.
Ordinance 6434, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow a 2-family dwelling duplex in an R1 1-family residential district at 214 East College Street, being 0.239 acres in the J.B. McInerney Survey, abstract number 763. MPY Homes, LLC owner, Anil Personelli, representative Charlie Shearer, Shearer Design and Associates Designer, and Copley Land Surveying, surveyor, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Rob?
Yeah, this item is for a specific use permit in an R1 district. The applicant is wanting to build 2 units, 1,439 square feet per unit with a 1-car garage. It's currently on a lot that's 80 feet wide, definitely over our standard for a duplex. P&Z approved or recommended approval 7-0.
Thank you, Rob. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Yes, sir. Okay. You're here for questions? Okay. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? All right. If not, at this time, we'll close public hearing and consider the adoption of the ordinances. Council, questions, discussions?
No questions.
The question I have is, and it's not necessarily related to the zoning, but I'm just kind of curious on the Acres development, Acres Road development for city staff. Do we have adequate water and sewer that way to support something like that? I mean, I know we're close, but
Yeah.
There's existing water out there. They would have to extend sewer mains to reach their site.
By how much? By a mile? 3 miles?
No,
50
it's
feet?
less. I think it's less than a mile.
The sewer line is in the creek area, just north of TI and Finisar. So
Yeah,
that's
they
where
just
they'd
got to
be
go down
pulling
to
from.
that creek.
okay.
I'm glad to see somebody putting more townhouses in. I think that's something that we're missing, in Sherman, and I do hear from residents that that's what they are looking for. So I'm glad to see you wanting to put some of those in.
Okay. Anything else? Council, on these items?
All right. So if there's nobody else has questions, then I'll make a motion to approve 6428, 6429, 6430, 6431, 6432, 6433, and 6434.
I second it.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Those are approved. Thank you. All right.
Thank y'all for coming.
Yeah, we'll wait.
Whoa, that emptied
We'll
it out,
wait,
didn't it?
we'll wait for a minute. Let everybody clear. All right. Linda, if you'll read proposed resolution 6803 for us, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of the Commercial Master Development Agreement between the City of Sherman and Heritage Ranch Land Holdings Limited for the construction of public facilities in the commercial portion of the mixed-use planned development known as Heritage Ranch, being an approximate 254-acre development along U.S. Highway 82 and between FM 1417 Heritage Parkway and Plainview Road in the City of Sherman, Texas. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Robbie?
Okay, Mayor, this is the part 2 of the development that Heritage Ranch is doing there on north of 82, east of FM 1417, west of Travis Street. This particular parcel is about little over 250 acres, located west of the current Plainview Road. And then east of 1417. So a few meetings ago, council passed the residential development agreement that was pretty straightforward. This is the partner to that. It's the commercial development piece of this. This agreement as it stands, which was drafted by our attorneys and then using the same structure and kind of form that the previous one used. So we didn't have to start from scratch there. But this one would call for the creation of a reinvestment zone and another reinvestment zone. So there would be one reinvestment zone on the east side of for the single-family residential piece. This one would be a second reinvestment zone that would cover the western portion And that would be used to reimburse the developer for public infrastructure, roads and water and sewer and drainage and lights and storm drainage and everything else that ultimately would be public infrastructure. So that's kind of point number one, is the tax increment reinvestment zone that would be created. In terms of what the agreement would call for the city's participation, so there is doesn't show on this map, but there's a road that is going to be an east-west road that would connect ultimately all the way over to Travis Street, but it runs from 1417 through the width of this 254 acres. It's about 3,200 linear feet-ish. And so that would be what the city would be contributing towards this project. Much like, or just like the other development agreements that we've done like this, it would call for us to start construction when they start construction, right? So they move and then we move, or at least simultaneously. And this road, the cost of this road would be somewhere between $2 and $3 million at today's estimates. I mean, we're not asking for approval to build the road tonight. This is really just the agreement that lays out what each responsibility would be. The other thing that it kind of commits the city to is to negotiate in good faith on future discussions about two main things. One is the entertainment portion of this project. So if you look at the planned development that was approved by council last year on this project, or maybe it was earlier this year, but months ago, there is an entertainment component to be defined, right? They've talked about an arena or other possibilities. There's still talk about that, but there's not. We're not far enough along to know exactly what the scope of that's going to be. So that's one aspect in there. The second one is stormwater drainage. So in this area here is kind of a low-lying area. That all of the commercial and some of this residential here would drain into this basin here. We know for sure that there's going to need to be storm detention there. We just don't know how big, how many, the scope of it. So the second piece of our commitment is to negotiate in good faith with the developer about who puts that in, how big does it need to be, how does cost get paid for, et cetera. So really the only thing we're dollar-wise are kind of putting our commitment on is that road that I just described. Again, the TERS would be set up to capture increment, right? We're not spending anything that we don't currently have. This would be setting aside a portion of the property tax increment to share for reimbursement for all of the other public infrastructure that will be needed in this whole area. There would be, in addition to commercial, which would include retail, restaurants, some office space likely. There would also be some multifamily units in there as well, and that is spelled out in this agreement as well. Overall, this entire development, based on our just kind of thumbnail sketching of value, is somewhere in the $400 million range. Single family, multifamily, commercial, retail, all of that added up, it's a huge project, right? It's ultimately 420 something acres, 430, something like that. So, I mean, it's a big tract of land, and we've talked about why we need planned developments for tracts this large. But we would propose to approve this based on the discussions that we've had in the past. This follows, again, the structure that we've used both for Heritage Ranch and for other PDs. And then Ryan and Bob at Abernathy were the ones that crafted this and then worked with city staff, worked with their staff, worked with their attorneys to kind of get this buttoned up and ready for presentation tonight. So I don't know, Ryan, did I miss anything that needs to be highlighted?
I think that covers all the deal points. Just to clarify on the detention facilities and entertainment facilities, where we're saying in this agreement that there is commitment to negotiate in good faith in the future, that doesn't bind the city participate on any of those projects going forward. Once we get into the details of it, doesn't work out, I think the expectation is that we'll be able to work a deal out, but that deal is not reflected in the agreement.
One other point of reminder as well, before we construct anything, that would require council approval as well. So for the road in this case, you'll also remember that we had committed in the previous one to do a sewer line that's going to serve the entire development. And that sewer line, we believe, is going to just kind of tag on to a sewer that already exists here. So that the scope of that project is pretty minimal in terms of cost and our ability to get that done quickly. So a lot of talking, and Jason's here to answer questions, or if you want him to speak to the project or project timing or anything, it's up to y'all.
Ryan, I know you just clarified, but I want to make sure that I understood correctly. We've had a number of meetings regarding the entertainment part of this, and that's a pretty big number, but we are not committing ourselves to it at all. We're hoping to probably go in on it, but am I correct that we're not making any commitment financially in any other way, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's true for the entertainment facilities as well as the detention facilities. But yes,
Okay.
You're right.
I just, thank you. Okay,
Questions or comments, council?
I'll make, good. I'll make a motion for the approval of 6803.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Linda, I abstain from that vote.
All right, Linda, if you'll read proposed resolution 6804, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of a professional engineering design services agreement with Garver LLC for design of the water treatment plant improvements project, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Wayne?
Mayor, Council, like Linda said, this is a professional engineering services design agreement with Garver for a redesign of our flocculation and sedimentation basins. It was programmed in our 22 CIP program, as these had exceeded their life expectancy, and lo and behold, a couple months ago they broke down. So this is not affecting the new portion of the plant that went active last year. So we have capacity, for our water system. It affects the older part of the plant. This is about a $284,000 contract, and the design is expected to be done sometime next fall, with construction being completed the following fall.
Council, any questions, comments about this item?
Seems to have comments, so I'll make a motion to approve of 6804.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. Linda, if you'll read proposed resolution 6805, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman awarding a bid to and authorizing execution of a contract with Synergo of Texas CDR Incorporated based on an invitation to bid for construction of the water treatment plant sludge removal project 2021, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Wayne?
So again, out at the water treatment plant, the flock and sedimentation basins take out a bunch of stuff in the water, go into these sludge basins. Our maintenance crews have dredged out some of the sludge ponds and stockpiled that sludge on site. This is a contract for removal of those stockpiles in an amount not to exceed $200,000. We had two bidders on this. The low bidder has not worked in Sherman before, but we checked their references, checked their financials, And we believe they have the capacity and financial ability to do this work. We estimate that they'll be able to remove over 9,500 tons of sludge with this contract, and recommend approval.
Okay, thank you, Wayne. Council?
Say pounds or tons? I meant tons.
Tons.
Said tons.
Okay.
Said tons.
Right, again, if
Right.
nobody has comments, I'll go ahead and move to approve 6805. We're kind of quiet tonight. It's kind of spooky. I'm trying to figure out.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Linda, if you'll read proposed resolution 6806, please.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman approving and authorizing execution of the amended and restated pre-development loan agreement among CFP Sherman LLC, the City of Sherman, Texas, Crossroads Hospital Development LLC, Ivy Hotel Group LLC, AP Gulf States Incorporated, Sherman Hospital Management Company LLC, and E4 Architecture for the commitment of funds for pre-development expenses related for the development, design, and construction of an estimated 80-bed acute care hospital and appropriate site amenities, supporting the same within the City of Sherman, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Robbie?
Yes, this is amending the original pre-development loan that was approved several months ago. As we've been into the diligence process, we need a little bit more time to complete that diligence. We're making great progress. The last 2 or 3 weeks have been fantastic. And so we don't think we'll actually need until April 30th, which is what's contemplated in the date change here. But that gives us a little bit of kind of breathing room on that. But this is to do two main things. One is to change that date from October 31st to April 30th of 2022. And then the second is one of the partners that was originally contemplated in here, Phoenix IDA, is no longer part of the project, and there's another one that we're adding that is part of the project. It doesn't change the dollars. It doesn't change our commitment dollars. It really just removes one of the parties and adds another party. So no net effect to us other than just kind of administrative. That is, we would expect that we would have a month or two left on this project by the time we're kind of completed with this pre-development phase.
Thank you, Robbie. Council, any questions?
Move to
No
approve.
question.
Second.
Okay, motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Council. Linda, if you'll read I-5 for us, please.
Resolution 6807, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman joining with the State of Texas and political subdivisions of the state as a part in the global opioid settlement agreements regarding opioid use and distribution in regards to Texas opioid litigation, MDL number 2018-63587 in the 152nd District Court of Harris County, Texas, and other litigation, accepting the Texas Opioid Abatement Fund Council and Settlement Allocation Term Sheet, authorizing the city manager to execute settlement participation documents, providing for an effective date, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Good evening, Mary.
Ryan notified us, I guess a couple months ago, that we are part of the allocation from the settlement proceeds from the state of Texas versus certain drug opioid manufacturers and distributors. Our estimated settlement amount from the allocation is about $330,000. Could be more or less depending on how many cities accept and whatever other factors are going into that calculation. For us to receive these funds, we have to have council approval, and so that's what we're asking you tonight. We have talked to Texoma Community Center. They're really the only ones in this area who already have an opioid program to help people. And so we've talked to them to see about beefing up their program, funding their program to help additional residents. They were very excited. about this opportunity. The state funds them right now, and they do have to qualify everyone. There's a lot of hoops they have to jump through to help certain people. This would give them some money that didn't have so many strings on it, to allow us to capture those folks that are falling through the cracks. So we're also working with the police department maybe to get them. Texoma Community Center also has some training, so it can help identify those suspects who maybe they don't need to go to jail, but maybe they need some different type of assistance. Asking for approval of this tonight. We will be coming back to you if we do a contract with another entity such as Texoma Community Center for approval, a contract.
Is that both police departments will get that training, or?
Both. It'll just be City of Sherman.
City of Sherman, okay.
Mary, do we have a timeline on these funds that we have to reallocate?
We have till January 1st to accept the funds, and then after that, we're supposed to receive at least part of the settlement in January. I don't know how much that will be. So we'll move forward after that, but no, we don't have a firm timeline on.
Sounds like a great thing to have kind of fallen into our lap.
It is, and it's kind of different in that it's not grant money.
Right.
It can be used locally to help individuals and.
Right.
Right.
So I appreciate you guys considering TCC. They're such a great community partner for mental health and for those addiction problems. So I think that's a great end user for this. So.
Too. I think it's going to be a good fit if everything falls into place.
With that being said, I'd make a motion on Resolution 6807.
I second that.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council. All right. Linda, if you'll read K1 for us, please.
Receive presentation from Police Chief Zachary Flores on alternatives for the contract with Grayson County for use of the City of Sherman Animal Shelter.
Good evening, Chief.
All right, y'all. I don't see the presentation pop up. That's okay. Here it is. Okay. See if I can operate this thing. Just go here. Sean, how do you want me to work this? There we go. Okay. So there's not an ask associated with this tonight. However, we do have the documents prepared to move forward with an interlocal agreement with the county to basically redo the contract that we've had concerning animal services. Hey, with new council coming on, it seems prudent to just kind of go over it real quick so that there's such a big difference between what we had been doing and what we're looking to do that it's important for us just to make sure that you have all the information that you need. And Robbie and I talk all the time about over communicating, and we want to make sure that we at least have done this on this issue because it has several factors to it. So City of Sherman, we have the only government ran animal shelter in the county. So Dog and Denison is an animal welfare group, so they're a rescue. They get to pick the animals that come and go. We don't have that luxury. So we are the local rabies health authority here. So that requires us to do certain things. And historically, we've been charging $50 per animal back as far as I think anybody can remember. Not necessarily just to the county. We use the county because they're our biggest user. However, $50 per animal to other agencies that bring an animal to us, okay? We have assumed all the costs after that. So in FY20, and I use FY20 because it's the last full fiscal year that we have numbers on, so that when we bring this interlocal agreement to you, you have a complete set, and I'll go over kind of how we'll shore that up later. But the county brought roughly 20% of the animals that came through the shelter to us in 2020. Our budget was around $1 million. They paid $25,000. About 2.7% of the budget. So they're bringing in 20% and paying 2.7. So that's the difference. That's the hiccup. So looking at how we can do this better, we're using a structure that is modeled after how Collin County, the county runs really probably their biggest shelter. They run it for several smaller municipalities as well as McKinney and Frisco. Allen and Plano have their own. However, the other cities in the county operate off of a cost structure that's very similar to this. And so the breakdown goes, we bring in a certain number of animals. County brought in 531 of the 2,500 that we had. Gives us the percentage of the number of animals that they've been bringing in. We know that I say we know, Mary knows, that our direct costs were just over $1 million, are slotted to be just over $1 million in FY22. We're looking at indirect costs of just over $100,000. So the cost per animal is about $440. With that being said, using FY20 numbers, because that's a full year, right? So we're taking the number of animals that the county brought in FY20 and applying that cost to it, it'll bring us to about just over $233,000 that they would be paying. We're looking at that as equitable cost sharing, really, paying that part of the budget for the number of animals that they bring in. Other cities in the county could also bring animals in off of the same type of cost structure. We also have those records, but they're just few and far between, to be honest with you. It's single digits that most other entities are bringing in. So it doesn't make that big of an impact. But when you're bringing in 20%, that does make that big of an impact. So again, that's off of FY20 numbers. So last year, 25.7. This year, 233,000. Big difference. Well, because of the timing of this, they didn't have an opportunity to build that in their budget, and we recognize that. And we're working off an expired contract that is functioning right now. We are functioning. So again, because of the timing, I wanted to present to you just something to think about as we look to bring back the interlocal agreement later. Again, that cost structure for you to have that to hold on to, as well as when to implement that thing. You know, we're operating under an expired contract now. It is functioning. We can do this at any time. Some different markers in there, but really at the council's direction, we could implement this. So those are the highlights that I wanted to bring to y'all tonight to be able to speak to. If you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to speak about it.
Yes, could you go back to the cost slide, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that one. So our cost right now to intake an animal is $440, or is that the cost we're going to charge the county?
That is our cost to bring in an animal.
Okay.
Given our budget and cost during FY22.
So based on the 2020 numbers that we're
Right.
reviewing here tonight, what do you think the cost per animal would be to the county?
It would be that's what we would be charging. So what we're looking to make sure that this is an accurate cost is at the end of the year, we would do a true up, and we would look back at what actually came in, and if they needed a credit towards if they overpaid, and then we could credit that towards the next year's payment. If they didn't pay enough, then we could bill them again. But that way, at the end of the year, when we did finally, because we have to start building our budget so early, it doesn't give us nor them the opportunity to have firm numbers come the spring whenever we start trying to build budgets. So at the end of the fiscal year, we'll be able to do a true up and apply that. That also is based off of Collin County's model.
Do you think there's a possibility we may have unintended consequences of these higher prices, like, not all these animals go into our shelters and some may be dumped on rural type streets and our ETJs?
That's a possibility. We could continue to do owner surrenders. However, each entity would again bear that responsibility.
And just to clarify, we're not talking about citizens of the county bringing their animals in. We're talking about directly from the county.
Right.
And I know you just used them as a placeholder, but what percentage of our total intakes come from outside the city of Sherman?
Again, that'd be single digits.
Single, other than the county?
Right.
Okay.
Van Alstine may bring in 10.
Gotcha.
Bell's a couple. And historically, they've gone through the county to do that, and then the county has just kind of acted as a pass-through, but very, very few.
We need to make sure, for those who aren't aware, the city council is very concerned about the fact that our shelter is overcrowded, and we're looking at ways to deal with the overcrowding. None of us want to raise cost or anything, not even for the county, but we've got to do something because we have outgrown our shelter. And so we've asked the chief to look at what it cost. And so, I know that I have received a number of things about us being a kill shelter again. And people don't understand that from what I have been told, that if an animal is, can't be placed again because of their behavior, or they are in such bad physical shape, that may end up happening. But we're trying not to be a kill shelter. We would like other shelters to help us out and take some of the animals from us, and we have looked. But we're not wanting to gouge anybody, but we've got to do something, and we've got to have the money. And it's not fair for the citizens of Sherman to pay all the expenses for all of the, lost and abandoned animals in the county. So we're just trying to even the playing field a little bit.
Chief, this is obviously just talking about intergovernmental contracts.
Correct.
Owner surrenders, that price is going unchanged. Is that?
Right. So actually, given the new ordinance that was passed not too long ago, the city manager has the right to adjust that. It hasn't been changed. Unfortunately, because of the population, we have not been able to receive them at all. We've had to turn them away. But hopefully, with the colder weather, we'll be able to start doing that. However, we just have a limited number of space. And so we have not changed that price for owner surrenders, but the argument could be that we haven't even been accepting them, which is true.
I just want to make sure, to David's point, that Sherman citizens that had an animal that probably needed to come to the shelter for whatever reason didn't just go let it loose and, because they're going to have to pay $500 to drop it off.
No, you're absolutely right. It's
Yeah, this is, the overarching principle here is really what Ms. Howell said. We believe that Sherman should pay for Sherman. We believe that those outside of the city that are using Sherman services should pay their fair share for us providing those services. Fill in the blank for what those services are. In this case, we're talking about animal control. So I think this is a fair, equitable way to do that, number one. Number two, it follows the path that other regional type shelters follow. So we're not blazing a new trail here for how we charge and how we calculate. And then number three, I just like the simplicity of it. There's 2 or 3 different numbers. How many animals did we take in? What percentage of those animals were not ours that were brought to us by the county? Apply that percentage. That's going to change every year. It's probably going to be somewhere in that 20%.
It stays around there.
Right? It might be 19.3 or 22.7, but it's going to be in that 20% range plus or minus. Apply that percent to what it cost us, and there's your number.
And to be just as transparent as possible, it's why we worked with Ryan to ensure a true up at the end, just to make sure that we're not trying to make money off of it. We're just trying to pay for the services that are there.
So I would encourage to enact this on January 1st as soon as possible. I don't see any benefit in waiting. I don't think it's going to break the county's bank, and we might as well just start it off on New Year on the right foot. So I would advise to start sooner rather than later.
So that is one item we're going to need. So first of all, is there a general agreement that the process that we're using is equitable? Getting some general head nods. And secondly, is this date? So we've had a January 1st thrown out there. Is there any?
Can I ask a question though?
Yeah.
When did you I know the county budget is one thing. When did you notify the county that we were looking
So
at this?
I've had multiple conversations with the county. Nothing hard numbers yet, because we're still, trying to get council's
But
approval.
this
on
isn't a
what it is.
surprise to them.
No,
that this is-
not at all.
That we were going to make a change.
I've spoken with the health director on multiple occasions. In last fiscal year, they were aware that this was an issue that was going to come up. And then they were also aware that we weren't going to be entering into a new contract until this issue got resolved. And so they understand that. They know that we're working under an expired contract because of this issue here.
And they're aware of your new pricing structure, and you've already had those conversations.
They're aware of a couple of different pricing structures, and we landed on this one not too long ago. But again, they're ballpark figures, and of course I'll be following up with them and sharing this information with the county as well, just so that they have a clear picture of what it is.
So they're not aware of this number?
Not this exact number, no.
Well, I think they're aware of the scope of the
of it.
change.
Yeah.
Whether or not they're aware of it is beside the point. We're aware of it.
Right.
Now we're aware of it.
Yeah.
Now if we decide to wait till May, it's like we've decided to give them free money to figure it out.
To Robbie's
And I'm
point,
not
they're
gonna do
aware of a scope. Like,
Okay.
I'd say,
here's a
Chief,
ballpark.
It's either going to cost whoever is bringing the animal to the shelter the money or us. And if it's not a citizen of Sherman's animal, then it's costing our taxpayers dollars for things that are out of our area. So
Absolutely.
I would say as soon as possible to implement, be reasonable in your discussions with them. But I would say as soon as possible.
Okay. So with that, then we would look to bring back the interlocal agreement. We've got it typed up at a future council meeting.
Is that a motion?
Is that a second? Or?
We don't make a motion.
I
On
mean,
this.
we could we make a motion on this?
Yeah, you could make a motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Josh?
Then I'd move we implement this January 1st.
Second.
Okay. Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Chief.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Good. All right, we are to K2, consider cancellation of the December 20th, 2021 regular council meeting and add called city council meeting on December 13th, 2021. Robbie.
Yes, so our regularly scheduled December 20th meeting falls on Christmas week, and as is our practice many times to try to avoid meetings on that week, we would propose to cancel that meeting and reschedule that meeting for December 13th, which is really just gives us still gives us two meetings that month, but 1 week apart. December 6th is our first meeting, regularly scheduled. December 13th would be the second one.
Okay.
We just need a motion on that if you guys are okay with that.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, council.
Robbie, let me ask you a question after the fact here.
Yeah.
P&Z, do they have this same thing on their agenda for?
P&Z will be on the 14th, right?
Yep.
Approved.
It'll be
Yep.
the Tuesday after. Yep.
Very good. All right, council, we're to our most fun time of the year. We get to appoint and consider qualifications to boards and commissions. So I believe on your agenda is the listing of who's on what, who's on first and who's on second. So
I would like to make a kind of an overarching consideration is that
All right.
any unchanged boards remain the same for the folks that were already on them.
Okay,
If
excellent.
that's acceptable.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's faster and more convenient to just take the two members who have left and reassign their committees to the two members who are coming in.
Mhm.
And since one of us is not here, that should get a lot of them.
Okay, so that should
Amen.
be,
Hey, Henry, you better be glad you were here, man.
Yeah.
okay, so that will be investment committee. That will be tax reinvestment committee, tax increment financing board, and the animal control. Well, we need to appoint somebody as our animal control advisory committee member. So I think those are, let's see, there's only 3 of them.
We've got four of them: investment committee, tax reinvestment, tax increment board number 1, and then animal control.
Yeah.
And your proposal then, what I'm hearing is that whoever won that spot that was vacated by the ones going off, just get replaced?
I'm saying,
I mean, not
any
necessarily.
open spots
Yeah,
could be filled
yeah.
by.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't wanna
Unless
just
anyone just has a
reconfigure
passion
everything.
for any of the
And
tax
it's a-
increment finance boards.
It's kind of a new board anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the investment committee.
I want to stay. Oh,
You just want to take these one at a time?
Sure.
Okay. What's the council feel about the investment committee?
I don't have, you have our list?
Who's currently on there, David?
Sandra, Melton,
you have
and
him.
Howard.
Okay.
And remember that most of these committees aren't really there's not a routine,
Yeah.
most of them, there's not a routine meeting that's held. Animal advisory may be one exception. And there are some other ones that we're going to get to after executive session, the TCOG board, that we would need to make an appointment to. But in terms of just these subcommittees, there's not a lot of routine day-to-day that you would need to commit to.
I say we ask Henry. Henry, investment committee, is that something you want to serve on, or do you want to pitch that one to Dobbs?
let's give it to Dom.
Okay. He's an investor, so that makes sense.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, so that brings us to the tax reinvestment committee.
It's Josh and Willie.
So Willie's off on number one.
Yeah, that would be.
This is the tax reinvestment.
all three.
That's Turk.
Yeah, that would be.
Sub note on this one, there's a meeting tomorrow at noon. Seriously.
Well, Dobbs is out of town, right?
Dobbs is out of town, so I would
Hey, how you
prefer it
feeling
not
down
be
there?
Dobbs.
Apparently,
Henry gets that one.
Henry's all in on this one.
Yeah.
He loves it.
Free
Okay.
lunch? Oh, heck, I'm for that.
Which one? All right.
Which terms is that?
That's L3.
Tax Increment Financing Board number 1. That's Sandra, Sean,
Terms
and
number two.
David.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, so now we need tax increment financing board.
I say give it to Dobbs.
Okay. Okay, we need a new animal control advisory committee member.
I honestly
You want
would
to do that?
Would
Henry
like,
raised his finger.
would you want to do it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind being on it.
You
if
want to
no
be
one
on
else
animal control
is
advisory?
volunteering.
Do you even have animals?
I do.
Okay.
I have a beautiful dog named Baxter.
Did he come from the animal shelter?
No, he didn't.
Baxter.
David, you recently got a dog from the animal shelter, didn't you?
I've got several dogs from the animal shelter.
All right.
All right, so who's going on it?
Do you want to do it or Henry? Are we going to appoint them both?
It's brand
you guys
new.
both want to do it?
Shoot for it.
Can we appoint both of them
Nah, well,
in case one of them can't miss or one of them misses? Can we do that, Mr. Attorney?
So would your suggestion be to appoint both as
Yeah.
standing members or one as an alternate?
We could do one as an alternate.
Do we have room for both of them as standing members?
Right now, there are no vacancies on that board,
Okay.
but you could increase the membership.
I tell you what, I'll take animal advisory and you can take TCOG.
Oh.
You animal. No.
No. That was pretty slick, though.
Yeah.
TCOG's not a
You
bad
do
one,
so good at TCOG.
Yeah.
No, Sandra did an excellent job at TCOG.
You know.
Okay, so,
You know what? I'll give Animal Control Advisory Committee to Henry.
okay, and you'll do
TCOG.
TCOG?
All right.
In the spirit of
It's Christmas spirit.
participation,
All right, so
working
Henry.
together.
Okay, very good. All right, do we have a motion on all this?
Once a month.
Move to accept appointment to boards and commissions
Okay,
As stated.
As
as stated.
okay. We've got a motion. We have a
Second.
What? Do we have a question?
No.
No.
We was just talking about TCOG board. But
Did we
that's-
come up
that's
with
fine.
TCOG just before we make the cast
He
the
said-
vote?
We should talk
Well,
about
I
that
think we
after
could
executive.
talk about
Okay,
TCOG
okay,
later.
good.
TCOG's not on here, so we'll talk
Okay.
about it later.
All right.
Okay, we have a motion. Did we get a
I
second?
got a second.
Okay,
Yep.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations
Congrats, guys.
to the new members. All right,
Okay.
council comments. Pam, I'm gonna start with you this evening.
I don't really have any comments this
Okay.
evening. Thank you.
Big D, you got some comments for us?
Nothing on this end, Mayor.
Okay.
Well, I'm just going to make a short comment.
Yes.
Okay. So I just wanted to say thank you to Sandra, and I know Willie's not here, but it's been a pleasure serving with both of you guys. Every time the council changes over, I get a little bit sad, and then I get a little bit happy when I get to meet our new folks. And congratulations to Henry.
Thanks, sir.
Job well done, and I look forward to serving with you more. I've known you for many years, and it's going to be an absolute pleasure serving with you here.
Absolutely.
And Dobbs. Yeah. Thank you. Congratulations to Dobbs too. So, one side note, Robbie, too, for future meetings, at some point, I'd like to get an update on our generators as the weather's getting colder.
Yes.
I'd like to know where we stand on those generators. So,
Yep.
thanks.
I'm really looking forward to one of these days hold a meeting in Spanish. How about that?
Hey. See.
I will.
See, yeah, we need.
Now, Henry, we've tried that before.
I got my translator over here.
We've tried that before.
All right.
We did?
It'll be West Texas Spanish, though.
Quito.
Anyway, I really appreciate you guys the opportunity. I'm really looking forward to work with you guys. And thank you so much for the vote and for all the support I got.
Okay, Josh?
I would just like to welcome our new members. So far, Justin Dobbs is my favorite member because he says the least.
He votes with you every time.
Yeah. He never votes against me anyway. Sandra, thank you for your service for the past 3 years. It's been great having you on council. You made it a lot more entertaining for me. And Willie, when I first came on council, I sat right next to Willie over there, and he really took me under his wing and sort of helped me figure out what it was I was looking at and all this gobbledygook. And he's just been a great leader for the city for so many years, and we're going to really miss him. And I'm going to make it a point to appoint him to something
Yeah,
that he
amen.
doesn't want to be on as soon as possible. Right. And just to the two new guys, welcome. And, you're sitting up here with a great group of people. And I just really look forward to what the next few years will bring. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Yes, same. Sandra, thank you so much for your service, and wish you well, and same with Willie. All right, so we do have some announcements this evening. Our annual Christmas parade will be held on December 4th this year, and it promises to be one of the largest parades we've ever had. The theme this year is Winter Scenes and Snow Globe Dreams, which should be a lot of fun. Make plans to bring the family out. Join us for the parade at 6 o'clock. The Sherman Symphony Orchestra will host Christmas Pops on December 4th as well this year. The orchestra will be at Austin College starting at 7:30. It's always a great show, so get your tickets soon. Finally, tonight, Hope on Houston will be sponsoring the Nutcracker Ballet on November 26th and 27th. Tickets and sponsorships are still available. All right, the City Council will now hold a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act at Section 551.072 for deliberation regarding the purchase and value of real property generally located south of FM 691 and east of FM 1417, west of Highway 75 and north of US Highway 82. At Section 551.074 to deliberate the appointment of members to the Texoma Council of Governments Board of Directors, and at Section 551.087 to discuss an economic development project. So at 6:17, we'll go into executive session. Thank you.